By the time Sammy Hagar's tenure in Van Halen was winding down, the band no longer had the same powerhouse presence in hard rock that they once commanded. While they still delivered electrifying performances, their album Balance didn't achieve the massive sales of 51 FEE nearly a decade earlier. Their most successful single from the record, Can't Stop Lovin' You, suggested they were on the verge of becoming a typical dad rock band, if not for Eddie Van Halen's signature guitar work keeping their sound distinct. The band needed a spark to reignite their momentum, but tensions arose when Hagar was called in to work on Humans Being for the Twister soundtrack. While the soundtrack performed reasonably well and briefly kept Van Halen in the public eye, Hagar's frustration over creative conflicts with Eddie ultimately led to his departure. However, Hagar wasn't entirely blameless in the friction. Eddie and Alex Van Halen, both of Dutch heritage, likely didn't appreciate Hagar writing a song like Amsterdam, which emphasized the city's reputation for marijuana use. Whether or not that played a role in the growing rift, Eddie eventually reached his breaking point. Without warning, he called Hagar and effectively ended their working relationship. For Hagar, the split came out of nowhere. Speaking with Rolling Stone, he recalled feeling blindsided by the phone call. "I was told that I quit by Eddie," he explained. "The phone rings, and I'm lying there with my brand new baby. He goes, 'You know, you always just wanted to be a solo artist, so go ahead and be one. We're going to get Dave back in the band.' And when he said that, I flew up out of bed like I'd seen a ghost." Perhaps Eddie simply wanted a fresh start. Having spent years shaping the band's sound alongside both Hagar and original frontman David Lee Roth, he might have believed that a third vocalist could offer something new. This led to the hiring of Gary Cherone, but the decision proved disastrous. Van Halen 3 became one of the band's most criticized albums, marking a low point in their career. Hagar eventually reunited with Van Halen for a brief period, but he remained adamant that his initial departure was not by choice. "It wasn't like he said, 'You're fired,'" Hagar clarified. "He just said, 'You're quitting the band, you're leaving the band, we're moving on without you.' Whatever. It was not my call whatsoever." Despite the turmoil, Hagar later made peace with Eddie, choosing to let go of past grievances. He expressed admiration for his former bandmate following Eddie's passing, acknowledging their history with gratitude. Though the Van Hagar era is now a distant chapter in the band's story, one can only wonder what might have been if they had resolved their conflicts rather than allowing them to fracture the group.